Yes, well, some people are very moody. One day they're fine and things seem to be going well, and you're acceptable in their eyes, and then something happens that is not what they want, and they react in quite the reverse way. Really difficult. They stop talking. They contradict everything you say. They can't look at you, and so forth. Now, in a sense, you could say we've got sort of varied personality, haven't we? The personality is not consistent through time, and in some sense, we don't just want an equanimity, but, well, better than that, really. We want a loving, generous, happy, blessed spirit, don't we? Now, I mean, obviously I'm going to say the obvious, which is if you're trusting God and you feel He loves you and cares, and cares for those around as well, cares for all that He's made, then to the extent you're holding to that and it's vivid in your mind, then you probably have the right response to people. But of course, with people that are in a bad mood, it's very difficult to give a response that's going to turn them into a good mood. It might be the case, for instance, that things have got to go well for them before they can be in a good mood. It's a bit like the person who's, always charming and very nice unless he's crossed. Goodness gracious. This is going to be, you're treading on hot coals, aren't you? So, well, really have to avoid such people. In a sense, even when they're good, because they could turn bad at any moment for any reason beyond your control, and by the looks of it, beyond their control too. And it might not be circumstances that does it. It might be that it's a hormone reaction, perhaps bad time of the month, perhaps acidic reaction to the fact that they consume a lot of wheat and grain first thing in the morning, and they react acidically to it, even in character. Or perhaps they're addicted to something, and without that shot of, 2 coffees before they start the day, they're really not terribly good company. It might be something you say that they don't agree with and don't like and find threatening, or something they don't want to hear. And it can be nothing to do with you at all. It can be that they're having trouble with someone else and they're preoccupied with perhaps negative thoughts. Now, you can battle to change their mood, cheer them up, so to speak, but you may get torn to pieces whilst you're trying to do this. And of course, they may revert to a bad mood at any future time. Well, good company is the answer, isn't it? Exchange the bad company for the good company. Try to be near those that are of a good disposition. It's worth remembering that when you're in a group, there's 1 or 2 people there that are possibly not of a good disposition, and you're building up tension from their point of view between them and you without you knowing it. And it's another good reason for avoiding holding forth in groups, talking publicly to people. I've said before, it's something like writing a book or having a YouTube option is good in that regard, because if you're not the sort of person that they really take to, well, they simply will avoid listening or reading your material. And that's possibly as good as we can do, really. We are not here to save the world. We are not here to convert the nation. If we were following a Christian sort of view. We are here because God understands it to be a blessing that we be here. Anything as regards others, he could do himself yesterday, today, or any time he wants, without us. If he's using us, it's because it's a blessing to us. Not just the person we're helping or blessing. So, in this calm assurance, you watch carefully who and what he's presenting to you. All the time, continuously. And avoid the bad and bless the good. To him that hath shall more be given. And those that haven't, and they're losing even what they had, well, they may just turn at some point, realizing that the values they had are not sufficient for life eternal, for happiness, for blessing. And, of course, give to him that asks, assuming it's reasonable to give. I don't mean recklessly, just because, if you like, this person's sponging off you, so to speak. And I don't just mean materially, but emotionally and all the rest of it. So you're wise in your giving. As wise as serpents, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. As snakes were understood originally in spiritual things to be wise. In the Christian faith, they've come to mean evil. And you could argue, well, the wisdom of man is as foolishness with God, but wisdom was actually always upheld in the Hebrew literature. And so I don't think it was meant to be seen as an evil originally. But obviously, by definition, wisdom of God is going to be infinitely better than what we're going to come up with. But yes, if you have a moody person, even if they're in a good mood at present, be very careful, because it could change any time. And you've got a problem on your hands, which you have to move away from. Yeah. Bless you. Thank you, Dad. I'm sort of thinking that I should consider this notion that perhaps moodiness is a sort of spiritual problem. If I were to think in Pentecostal fashion, that it's in some sense an evil spirit. I think rather it's the case that we are thought, and the thoughts that we draw are according to our values. And if our values are not consistent with one another, then at one time we're drawing a certain type of ideas and actions and behaviour, and at other times we're following, a different story. And it's anything but equanimity to other people. I'm not sure if that's the right word in that case. It's anything but consistency as other people experience that. In that sense, I think I see it as you could say spiritual problem, or you could say psychological problem, I think. But I do wonder if it is something in our basic set of values that is not consistent, and therefore we seem to have rather erratic behaviour across time. You could say, you know, is it schizophrenic or split personality or whatever, but I think we're just dominated by a different set of thoughts from time to time, and our mood changes. Behaviour being directed by a disposition that loves and cares for those around us. It can be a disposition that is hostile, rejecting, and other times very accepting. There's no telling from the outsider's point of view which personality you're going to be running. In a sense, it's a house divided against itself, isn't it? That one minute it might be constructing a relationship, and another minute it's tearing it down. The principles, beliefs, the fundamentals that they value are being experienced with the consequences of such. And well, it's a hard knocks form of self-help, isn't it? And possibly that, well, I assume that's why they are living the life they are living, why they've been called to be here in this universe and this part of it. Picking up on that word equanimity, no, we want more than that. It's not just that I'm neither hot nor cold, I'm just even and so forth. We want to be blessed and a blessing. And if at times we're not on that track, well, it sounds a bit like self-destruction. And how do we guard ourselves against it? I think going back to the fundamentals, I would go back to it's an all-powerful God, and He loves you. He loves all that He's made. And so do I. That's my aim, that's my goal, that's my hope. And I see no gain in doing otherwise. What do you think? Bless you. Thank you.